buenos dias.
Buenas tardes, buenas noches.
This is Barb.
And this is Estella.
And welcome to
Cafecito
and Crime. So, this morning,
Yes.
I wanted to talk about something. Not this morning, pero
Anoche en la madrugada.
anoche en la madrugada,
Estaba soñando.
I was having a dream that, it was raining today, so my son came into the room like really early. I don't remember, but I remember it was really dark still. So then he woke me up, and then you know how you go back to sleep?
Yeah.
I went back to sleep, and I was dreaming that I had gone to Breadman Rock party in the Philippines.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So Breadman Rock had a party. I was wearing a pink dress. It was really sparkly. I was feeling myself. And then they were taking pictures of everybody and stuff, and I was standing, and I was with some other girls, I guess, like...
Influencers?
I guess I was an influencer, or me creía pinche influencer. I don't know. But there's other girls there, and then Breadman is taking pictures with other girls, and then the guy's like, oh, you get in the picture too? And I'm like, me?
Okay.
Little old me?
Don't have to tell me twice.
Why not? Y ahí voy a tomarme pictures también.
And then you woke up.
No, I kept going. It was like a whole ass dream.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
We danced. No, I was having
You
a party.
partied in your dream.
Yeah, in my dream. And then we needed to stay longer because I thought I was going to stay the night there at the hotel. But no, everybody was leaving that on the same time. It was like this big old thing, and then I had to go pay for a new hotel and stuff. Yeah, and I only had $1.
Maybe that's... it was a multiverse. Maybe another you in the multiverse was doing that.
We're going to go watch... Guardians of the
if
Galaxy.
you can hear rain, it's storming.
It's storming, like
so if you can hear the rain in the back,
like hurricane is coming and shit. But it's okay, we're used to it.
We like it.
But yeah, that was what I was gonna say. It was crazy. My dream was so funny. And if y'all don't know who Breadman Rock is, y'all should know. He's a Filipino. I guess he's an
influencer.
An influencer. Yeah, he's a part of the LGBTQ plus community. He's also. I think he's a face of Nike sometimes. Like he's pretty big. He's pretty big on Instagram and on social media. So yeah, I thought that was so cool. I was like,
that was a nice dream because usually when you dream something good, like it always gets cut short.
Yeah, it was a weird dream, but I thought it was cool because I was having fun at the party.
But you were not having.
But
fun.
I was not having fun because I wasn't there. But
you didn't know that.
I didn't know that. Yeah. And then,
have you ever dreamt in your dream and you know that you're dreaming?
No. Do you?
Yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. No, not me. Then I started dreaming about an alligator trying to eat me, so that was another thing.
Were you still in the Philippines at the party?
I was still in the Philippines at the party. Oh. Yeah. So I don't know how that happened, but
me neither.
It was nice.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you had.
Thanks. So we're going to get started with today's episode. It's brought to you by Estella.
Yes. So today's case, we're going to be talking about, I'm not sure if you have heard of it. I'm pretty sure you might have. Like when you win the lottery, and then usually to a lot of people that have won the lottery, they end up like dying.
Really?
Yeah, you didn't know that the curse of people who have won the lottery?
I've heard that they didn't end up like
on drugs.
Or not having any money. Yeah, but I've never heard of like dying.
Yeah, like they get killed for the money.
Wow. Okay.
So it's one of those cases. But maybe when I get into it, because I could have sworn you've heard about it, but
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you would like to listen, go ahead and grab your cafecitos.
And let's get started. For today's case, we are going to Lakeland, Florida.
Florida, here we go. Florida's been in the news lately. Lots.
And the fun, random, interesting fact about Lakeland is that the city was gifted swans by Queen Elizabeth II, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
And they arrived on February 8th of 1957.
Wow.
So Lakeland...
How many did they get?
I'll get there in a little bit.
Okay.
But Lakeland, which was also known as Swan City, was left swanless in 1954. According to lakelandgov.net, by 1926, the city had a population of 20 swans. And I don't know if that's a lot.
Is that a thing?
I don't know.
I've never heard of this.
Me either.
So that's why it's a fun, interesting, random fact.
Right.
Yeah.
But like I said, they had a population of 20. But throughout the decades...
20 swans.
Yes. Swans.
So is that a lot of swans?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. But that's true. You don't ever see swans. I mean, we see patos right here in the, the little
Honestly,
area.
To tell you the truth, like swans, aren't they like regal looking? Like they're también bonitas?
Like majestic and shit.
Yeah, okay. How big are swans?
So Lakeland had a population of 20 swans, but throughout the decades, they became victims to like alligators and dogs and chemicals and other diseases. So a former resident of Lakeland who was living in England took it upon themselves, I don't know how, to reach out to Queen Elizabeth, who also had the title of Seigneur of Swans. And she responded to the request and donated a pair of swans out of her own royal flock.
Su verga. Just 2 swans.
Yeah.
That's all
royal.
you get, bitch.
And then, kind of sad, but like the male one died.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they can't
Then
produce.
they took her to find like a generic swan, like a common swan.
You can't do that.
Like
you
a
can't
peasant swan.
like a basic bitch swan?
Yes.
No.
So
no.
then, yeah. But she was royal. And I guess their babies were half royal. But yeah.
O sea, como William and his kids?
Or Harry's.
Or, I mean, Harry, yeah. Harry.
And William. I mean, and Kate, because she's not royal.
Yeah. So basically, it was meant to be.
Yeah. But yeah, they got gifted. I don't know how you reach out to the queen and she's like, yeah, here, take some swans. Like, obviously you have to go through people.
Don't you have to, do you write an email?
I don't think then there was email or internet.
So do you write a letter?
Do you write a letter?
But then, like, who determines what letters get to the queen?
Right.
That's crazy.
But she had a title of, I guess that means protector of swans. Maybe she was like, oh my God, I need to give.
¿Cómo me dijiste que se llamaba?
¿Quién?
La title de que tenía la...
Seigneur of Swans. Seigneur.
Ugh.
I don't know how to say that,
But
honestly.
anyway, that is some crazy shit. I didn't know. Thank you for that information,
You're
sister.
welcome. But how pretty, like, how rare are swans? That's true.
I don't know. I'm looking it up, but there's so many kinds.
No, there's actually not a lot in the world. I think there's only like 7.
Kinds.
Oh,
like different kinds. Because I guess they like...
Oh, like size-wise and
They
stuff?
they fuck with different kinds of swans, not just majestic swans.
Yeah.
Like basic bitch swans. So hay un chingo, güey.
But they're so, like, regal and like, cool-looking, huh? Majestic.
They're huge, dude. Their fucking wings are huge.
¿Te dan un vergazo? Like they could?
It says swans usually made for life with the same partner swan. Unless
they die.
No, but they do get divorced sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah, because if they don't have any failure. If they don't have any, like, mates, or if the mate dies. So if
Which
they don't
was the
have any
case here.
eggs...
They're like, well, I gotta find somebody that's gonna give me some eggs.
Yeah, so they leave them. You know what? That sounds nice.
That sounds very human-like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what brings us over to the swan mates?
No, that was just Lakeland. That's where today's case
Lakeland se llama.
Lakeland, Florida.
Okay.
Florida. Florida.
Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened to him?
I don't know. He's cool.
Yeah. I think he was working with what's a brand of energy drinks that we didn't really care for because they didn't do anything?
All of them were
No.
Oh, okay.
Celsius. And he, like, apparently brought up Celsius and they went to court and they paid him $80 million or something.
So he doesn't have to do shit anymore. He can sit at his house and look
I don't know
at
if it was
swans.
80, but it was a shit ton of money. But yeah.
Dude, why do they... So they have black swans too?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get into a story. Sorry about that railroad of stories. Abraham Lee Shakespeare was born on April 24th of 1966.
Not another birthday mate.
Yeah.
Was he the killer?
No.
Oh, okay, good.
No, not like Orville and Majors.
Okay, wait. Going back to the swan thing, they're massive. They can reach up to 10 feet long from one wing to another.
Wow.
That is massive.
I want a swan.
No, they're so cute and they make little hearts and stuff. Oh, I love it. But then they'll leave your ass if you don't make babies, so I don't like that. Anyway.
But I don't think you would be the one that you'd be left.
I wouldn't, but the thing
is... Are they pets?
I don't think they're pets.
Maybe if you have like a lake. Like if you're...
Like, where do they stay?
In a lake.
No, now I need to know more about swans. Okay, go ahead.
So Abraham Lee Shakespeare was born on April 24th of 1966 to parents Elizabeth Walker and James Shakespeare in Sebring, Florida.
So they were not to be family members to Shakespeare's?
What do you mean?
Like to actual Shakespeare?
No, they're not related.
Oh, no, not related. No relation.
He grew up poor and later dropped out of school from either 6th or 7th grade to help provide for the family. So se iba a trabajar con su dad as an orange picker. And because of this, he had a very limited education. So he would be able to barely read or write throughout his whole life.
Okay.
And when he was 13, He was also arrested for theft and was sent to a state juvenile detention facility until he was 18. So like a reform school.
Yeah, but he was stealing probably because he was hungry.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. In 2005, James, his dad, died from heart disease at the age of 84. And then it was then that he moved in with his mom in Lakeland from Sebring. So I guess at some point, I don't know if his parents got divorced or they was just never together, but they were living apart. Mm-hmm. Not that it matters.
No, it doesn't.
At this point, Abraham was pretty low-key, like just kept to himself. He wasn't working and would hang out at like small clubs and bars where other people que casi no tenían trabajo or anything like that, they would just like congregate there. And he would go and hang out there too. And in 1998, when he was 32, he ended up having a son with Antoinette, a woman he had known since childhood, and they named the boy Moses.
Okay, wait a minute. This is too much. Antoinette, Shakespeare. ¿Cómo se llama el muchacho? ¿O el señor?
Abraham?
Abraham.
Yeah, that's him.
Like Abraham Lincoln. This is too much. This is too much.
Too many names.
Too many names.
Too many strong names.
Yeah, and then
Moses.
Like,
Yeah.
what in the world?
Yeah, it's pretty cool though.
That is really cool.
So he was not in a relationship with Antoinette, but that didn't stop him from being an attentive father. So he would see Moses 3 to 4 times a week. But since Abraham never had a steady income and would pretty much just wander around trying to find a job, he couldn't provide much for the baby or at all, really. And when he was able to like find a job que le pagara, he would and to pay for his son, it was either like late or short. And he ended up going to jail a couple of times for not making the court order child support payments.
Aww.
So when he was able to find a job, it was always something along the lines of like dishwashing or like loading trucks. Or he would run errands for Jimard Youssef, a.k.a. Papi. He was a convenience store owner where Abram would hang out. So el señor de la tiendita, he was like...
Papi.
Le decían Papi.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Florida, you know.
He's probably like Cuban or something. But what was I going to tell you? But yeah, but eso le pasaba porque no acabó la escuela, ¿verdad?
Right.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah,
Right.
and then he had the criminal record, you know, he went for theft and all that stuff. And in 1999, Abraham began working for Greg Smith, who owned a barbershop. So Abraham would sit outside of the barbershop and ask for money. Y un día, Greg offered him a job cleaning up the barbershop. Y Abraham le dijo que sí. And Abraham would like sweep the floors and take out the trash and clean the restrooms like a couple of times a week, 2 to 3 times a week.
But it was something.
But it was a little side job, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's how Abraham's life was well into his 40s. He would wander around just trying to find a job, a loner. He was a loner for the most part. And people knew who he was. You know, everybody in the community, you know, everybody kind of was the same, you know, poor. And you couldn't miss him because he was 6'4". He was tall. He was thin. He had dreadlocks. And he was described as unremarkable, but likable and harmless. So there was nothing like...
No le tenía miedo a la gente.
Yeah,
like
he was just like a regular person walking down the street, and he was just like... And he never hurt anybody, and he was really humble and like just friendly and low-key.
A good guy.
Yeah, and he quería trabajar, pero no tenía oportunidades, but he was described as like a hardworking person.
Nice.
So on Wednesday, November 15th of 2006, Abraham was working doing deliveries when he and his partner, Michael Ford, stopped at a convenience store, en una tiendita. And Michael got off and asked Abraham que si quería algo, y he told him to just bring him 2 lottery quick picks. So Michael se bajó, y cuando regresó to the truck, Abraham handed him $2 for the tickets. And one of the lotto tickets had the numbers 6, 12, 13, 34, 42, and 52. And that night, Abraham won the $31 million lotto jackpot.
Holy shit. What? 31 million. Just like that. Overnight. Sounded like All About the Benjamins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he opted to receive the cash out payout, which was $17 million. And then after taxes, he went home with $12 million. But bitch, that like blows my mind. How do you go from fucking 31 to 12?
Let's take a quick break.
Persons of Interest is back, and it's bigger than ever.
That scream will echo in my head for many years.
Taser! Taser! Taser!
Oi! Shot fired. Shots fired, shots fired.
He had the perfect aim.
I am absolutely stressed at that point. I have no idea where my officers are.
Persons of Interest available everywhere you get your podcasts.
It's called American Dream, Texas. The American Dream.
It sounds like a scam, I
It's a
tell ya.
scam. Hey, pero at that point, I mean, you ain't got nothing.
Right. I mean, that's
From
still,
zero
I mean,
to-
now that's a lot of money.
Como dijo Hercules, from zero to hero. I mean, you got something.
Yeah, I mean, that's
So-
still a lot of money, especially for somebody like him, you know?
Yeah, of course.
For anybody, really.
Bro, give me. I get excited for $5. Two, I'm like, yeah, you know, it's like it's okay.
And he stated to a reporter that asked him what it was like to be a multimillionaire overnight. He said, I don't have to struggle no more.
Oh, pobrecito. That's so awesome.
And like we were just saying, like I can even begin to imagine. It must be like just like a sense of relief to have.
like to know that you don't have to worry about where you're getting your next meal or
From
your next
anything.
Like you can have a house.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to live on the street. Yeah.
Right. It feels like, I know they say more money, more problems. Truly, that's the case here. Pero like, I don't think that ever crosses your mind at that moment.
No, not at that moment. At that moment, you're like, all my problems are solved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Abraham bought himself a $1 million home.
Wow.
In a gated community in north of Lakeland. It was 2 stories, 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, a pool, nut spa, and fireplace, y toda la cosa. He also bought himself a new pickup truck and a new black BMW 750i, which was reported to have cost $100,000.
What? The car?
The BMW.
Why?
I don't know.
Dang, that's a lot of money for a BMW.
I don't know.
Maybe back in the day, or it could have been like souped up. He probably had like rims or something on it. Because a
And he
BMW
also-
is not that expensive.
I know.
That's a lot.
Remember the BMW that you used to have?
I used to have a BMW 325i. Yeah, I did.
That's the car that's when I started driving, right? You
Yeah.
taught me how to drive. And then una puerta no servía, so you have to get out through the other.
Yeah. So I'd be like, súbete tú y luego me subo yo.
Yeah.
And then like it was just
It was funny.
It was funny.
Good times.
It was a blue 325i. I think it was like a 03 or like I don't know. It was like old 01, I think. I don't even know. But it was old. But hey, and then the seat was broken, so you always drove like you were actually like leaning, like you were leaning, but you weren't really leaning because you wanted to. It was because the car seat was broken. Yeah, that was because my husband broke it. Anyway.
Yeah. And also, he got himself like a little Rolex, you know, like a little,
Okay.
a little algo leve, you know.
Algo leve, algo
I mean, I
chino.
guess like $1 million home is not that bad, right?
For 12 million, si te quedan todavía 11.
Because I mean, look at houses now.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
I
in
mean-
2006, I get it, you know,
Yeah,
right? But
I was about to say that's a lot.
And then tenía like land, like it wasn't just una casa metida ahí, like in a fucking subdivision. It was like you still had neighbors, but there was
Wow.
like, you know, it was a
Okay.
gated community.
Okay. Yeah, that's not bad because he could have spent a lot more.
Right.
Yeah.
Y se compró un carro, una casa, and a little Rolex, you know?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all he wanted. The little Rolex.
Yeah. And as previously mentioned, you know, Abraham was like a humble person. And after coming into millions, he, of course, took care of his family and the people in his community. Like he became a celebrity in his community and an ATM machine.
Wow.
He took care of his mom. He gave his stepdad $1 million. His stepsisters $250K each, which I don't think that's bad.
Yeah.
His godfather $1 million. He loaned out money to his cousins. He gave Greg Smith, the owner of the barbershop, who by now had become like a really good friend. They were really good friends of each other. He gave him a loan. He also loaned Papi multiple loans, which equaled up to $1 million. He assisted senior citizens in his community with their bills. He helped out with mortgages, medical bills, car loans. He
did a lot.
He helped out with funerals for people that couldn't afford it.
Wow.
He helped pay college tuitions. People were coming like out of nowhere, out of the fucking ditches. Long lost cousins hoping to get money from him. And
That's so sad,
he
though.
had such a big heart. Like he wouldn't, no le pensaba. He's like, okay, I'll help you, you know?
Pero like, why are we like that?
And
as
people started
human
taking
beings?
advantage of that,
Yeah,
you know? Like se pasan de verga.
Like for real.
Yeah.
I mean, ¿por qué somos así? Si él no tenía nada, déjenlo que se enjoy it, you know?
Y su familia, you know?
I don't know. I guess I just think different.
Now, it got to a point where somebody was like, hey, you just can't be giving people money. Like, you need to let them borrow it. It's a loan, right? And a neighbor of his uncle named Greg Massey helped Abraham maintain financial records as best as possible and track down the people who he had loaned money out to. So they were like, go knocking on doors. I'm like, hey, we're going to collect on the loan. But all these people would always come out with some kind of excuse or sob story as to por qué no le podían pagar el dinero. One other person that wanted money from Abraham, or the money from Abraham, was Michael Ford, the guy that he was driving on the truck that day. 5 months after he had won the lotto, Michael filed a civil lawsuit in April of 2007, claiming that the winning lotto ticket was his y que Abraham se lo había robado de su wallet.
What?
Yeah. Y que supposedly that wallet he had put it in the little compartment, like a glove compartment in the truck, y que that's where they were that day. And that he didn't realize that they had been stolen until he was told that Abraham had won the lottery a couple of days later. And he initially thought que se los había, he had lost it. He was like, oh, se me perdieron, whatever. And then le dijeron, no, Abraham won. He was like, oh, no, he took my ticket.
Oh, my God. Why are we trash, dude? Like, why are human beings trash?
Abraham, of course, denied this. You know? And he said that the things happened like I mentioned earlier. Like, he went, I gave him $2, he gave me the tickets, Abraham also goes on to state that after he won, Michael first approached him and asked him to, quote unquote, look out for him. And Abraham dijo, y I think he asked him for $1 million. And Abraham told him to just be patient because he hadn't even been wired the money yet. And
so it wasn't like he was telling him no, nada más le dijo, espérame. Yeah, right. Okay.
And then I'm assuming, I don't know if Michael got impatient or whatever, and he went to see Abraham y le dijo that he had been talking to some people and that he could take him to court. And Abraham told him, he's like, I don't owe you anything. You want to take me to court? Take me to court. And they went to fucking court, bitch. With the jury and everything, bitch. During the trial, Michael's lawyers brought up Abraham's criminal past. He had been arrested for theft a couple of times here and there.
So?
Right. But, they wanted to paint a picture to the jury,
Yeah, but he had not gone to jail for that in a long time. Eso pasó hace mucho. Like, what are they talking about? Oh, my God. I need to move to an alien place because humans are trash.
Oh, a different planet?
Yeah, different planet.
But in the end, the jury sided with Abraham and they came to the conclusion that his winnings would stay his. Because I think Michael wanted them to freeze his account so he wouldn't keep spending the money that was his. But I don't know. The jury was like, no, that's his money.
I'm glad that the jury didn't. And I hope they made Michael pay all those fucking
legal fees.
Stupid ass.
And so much had changed for Abraham, for someone who had always been a loner. Now he had an entourage of people around him all the time, of course. And there were always people in his house. And he'd have like get-togethers. They were having drinks, girls were over and, And it was at one of those gatherings in his house that he met Centauria Butler, whom everybody calls Tori. So I'm just going to refer to her as Tori. She described him as being humble and stated that they spent all night talking. Y que he was very attentive and there was nothing that he wouldn't do if he loved and cared about you. So the two began dating and Tori became pregnant with Abraham's baby. They welcomed their son named Jeremiah, otro nombre, on November 2008. And she recalls that he was just very excited through like the whole pregnancy and he was there when he was born. Y le cortó la umbilical cord y toda la cosa. Now it seemed that things at some point had gotten strained between Tori and Abraham because I think they had broken up right before Jeremiah was born. And she goes on to say that there was just always people in his house asking him for money. Girls were always trying to get his attention and he'd handle their phone numbers everywhere on a piece of paper. There was just no privacy and that it was stressful and chaotic and that was no place for a newborn, for a new baby. So Tori and Jeremiah went to live in an apartment, which I'm assuming Abraham was paying for, and he would go and see his son and spend time with his son at that place.
I mean, because, as he should. He did the right thing. Yeah.
As I mentioned before, there were always people going up to Abraham asking him for money, and he got so tired of it that by 2009, Greg stated that when he had been talking to Abraham, he sounded so down. And when he would ask him what was wrong, que le dijo that he was just tired and that he didn't even want the money anymore. And Tori went on to say something similar. She stated that on one occasion when he was over at her apartment, she noticed how run down he looked and that she asked him if he was okay. And he told her yes, that he was just tired and that he was just tired of everything. So
Pobrecito.
by that point, he had gotten a financial advisor because things were just so out of control. And this woman was known as Dee Dee Moore, and they had been introduced by Barbara Jackson, who had worked as a broker during the deal where Abraham bought his new house. Mm-hmm. So Dee Dee took over collecting on Abraham's loans. And that meant that Greg Massey, who had been helping him before, was kind of kicked to the curb. They kind of had like a little falling out. Because Mr. Greg Massey just didn't really trust Dee Dee and just thought that it was really weird that a white woman was now hanging out with Abraham.
Okay.
And one of those loans that Dee Dee would be now collecting on was Greg Smith, the barbershop owner. Mm-hmm. Previously, when Greg would make a payment to either Greg Massey or Abraham for the loan, le daban un recibo. And the first time that Greg made a payment to Dee Dee, ella no le dio recibo.
So he didn't like that. He was like, wait a minute. Yeah, that's not right.
When he asked her for one, she told him that she would get it to him the next day. And the next day came and went, and he never heard from her. And he kept calling until she answered, and then told him that she was on his way to his barbershop para dar el recibo, pero nunca llegó. Mm-hmm. The next month, Greg told Dee Dee, because ella le habló para pedirle el dinero de la loan, y le dijo, hey, I have your money, but I'm not going to give it to you unless you give me a receipt for last month and for this payment. When they met up, le dio el recibo de last month y le dio recibo de this month. And then the following month, when he paid her, también le dio recibo by then again. So Greg Smith had heard que Abraham was, I think he had gone away like on a cruise or something, and he was out of town. And he had known how just down Abraham was, that he was like, I don't want to fucking bother him. You know, I don't want to call him and tell him que esta señora no me está dando recibo, pero tampoco I don't want him to think that I'm
not paying.
Mm-hmm. Like other people, you know, that so many other people. But since Dee Dee le había dado el recibo, he was like, okay, I feel a little bit better about things. You know, it's cool. So not long after, days, I believed, Greg received a letter in the mail from a company called American Medical Professionals stating that they could possibly be foreclosing against the home he had as collateral due to failure of payment for that loan.
What the hell?
So he called Dee Dee, pero ella no contestó. So he called her 3 more times over the next couple of hours. Yeah. Still no answer. And it was just voicemail. So they have a voicemails. So he was like, fuck, I have to call Abraham. And like, I don't want to, but I'm going to have to call him. So le habló a Abraham, pero él tampoco contestó, so le dejó un voicemail. So Greg was stressed because that house used to be his late mom's house and he wanted to keep it in the family. Se me hace que la andaba arreglando. So he was like, I can't lose this house. I need this house. So he got in contact with Judy. And Judy was like an errand girl for Abraham que la conocía. So Judy trabajaba for Abraham, and she would work close with Dee Dee también, so por eso le habló Greg a Judy. And Judy at the time had power of attorney porque Abraham had left. You know, he wasn't going to be here, so they needed somebody to, you know, that could sign for shit or whatever. So cuando ella le dijo a Greg that she had power of attorney, he was like, that's fine. I received this letter in the mail telling me that I haven't made payment, but I have been making payments, even more than I should, because Greg, he wanted to pay back Abraham so fast that he was giving him way more than he should have. I think his payment was only $540 and he was giving him $3,000 a month.
Wow.
Yeah. He was like, I just, you know, I want him to know that I'm paying him, you know? And Judy told him that the letter que le cayó, that was a mistake. It's all taken care of, you know, whatever. It's fine. And Greg was like, okay, but I need papers saying that it's fine. I need them signed. So Judy was like, yeah, I'll tell Dee Dee, you know, because Dee Dee was, you know, she would have to draw those papers, you know, because he was the financial advisor and they had lawyers or whatever. Greg told Judy that once Abraham le regresaba la llamada, or he used to call him Shaky Boy, you know, because Shakespeare. So así le decía, he was like, once Shaky Boy calls me, I'm going to tell him what's happening. And Judy was like that Abraham was not taking any phone calls. He was just communicating via text. And she knew this because she had just returned from seeing him in Texas. And Greg thought that was weird, since Abraham could barely read or write.
Yeah, definitely.
And thought that maybe just somebody was typing text for him, right? So Greg never received a call from Abraham or Dee Dee. And every time I see Dee Dee, I think of Dee Dee Dexter's sister.
Me too.
So me imagino this tall, like blonde. I mean, she was blonde, right? Pero me la imagino todo un palito and shit. So instead of calling Abraham again, he sent him a text message and asked him to call him back. And that someone was taking his money. He was like, where's my money? You know? So to please call him back, that it was important. And Greg got a response, and the text said, quote, bro, I'm on a cruise. I'll be back in town soon, end quote. And then another text came through that just pretty much said, you know, the reason why I left is just because I've been so tired and I just needed to get away from everybody and everything. And Greg responded to that text by telling him that he understood that he needed to, you know, get away, but he just really, really needed to talk to him. And that text responded to Greg saying that, okay, I'll call you in the morning. Well, he never got a call, and he never got those signed papers from Dee Dee stating that everything was okay. So he kept calling and nothing. But he managed to get a hold of Judy otra vez, and they were supposed to meet up at a casino and straighten everything out. And apparently Abraham was in town by then. So Judy, Abraham, Dee Dee, and Greg were supposed to meet up at this casino. Él llegó. Nadie nunca llegó.
Wow.
A couple of days later, Dee Dee por fin le habló a Greg and told him that what he wanted to hear. Le dijo, hey, you know, I have the papers. We need to meet somewhere so I can give you the papers. And they ended up meeting en la casa the house that he had for collateral, the one that he was trying to keep. So they met up there. Cuando Dee Dee llegó, she handed him the paperwork. They had been drawn up by her lawyer, and they stated that the house was not in any danger of being foreclosed. And she told him that Abraham had been back shortly, but had left for another trip, and that everything was fine. Greg was like, okay, cool, that's fine. I got what I wanted.
Like he got what he wanted. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So over the summer, people communicated with Abraham via text only. And his nephew, stepsisters, his god sister, Antoinette, Tori, Papi también se andaban comunicando con Abraham.
His kids probably.
Yeah. They were little.
Yeah. Oh.
He would tell them that he was fine, that, you know, he was just getting himself together. You know, again, he had been really tired of just fucking people coming up. I mean, I guess by that point, people have been coming up to him for a couple of years, asking him for money.
Wow.
Because it was 2009 and he won in 2006.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds like, no wonder I've seen a lot of people that win the lottery no quiere que nadie sepa. That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Like, you know how they're like anonymously or whatever?
Yes, or that guy that went up wearing a smiley face or the ghost face mask. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think it depends on the state.
Yeah, because I did see on one of this little like shows at HGTV that there's people that win and it's obviously a lot more.
Right.
But nobody finds out that they win.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like $1 million, $2 million, whatever. But they're looking for a house or whatever on HGTV.
Yeah,
and
my
like,
my lottery $1 million home or whatever.
And it's so cool because most of them are like, I won a few years ago, you know, and nobody knows about that, you know? So I guess that makes sense. I would probably, I mean, not that I would.
I mean, not that I play, but if I won.
Not me neither.
Yeah, you know? Yeah, but that's crazy because, you know, we always say, you know, money is the root of all evil, right? We say
true,
that.
100%.
But I don't know where I heard that somebody said, he was like, I don't think that's true because I feel like that has to have already been in you for money to bring it out. You know what I mean?
No, not really. It's the people around you, though.
Yeah.
The people around you, because he didn't have any evil.
No, but not in this case, like particularly, you know, que hay gente que se pone rica and they change and they, you know, just, do you think?
I don't know.
It could be a little bit of both.
I just pray to God to let me win and then I'll show everybody.
I think maybe you should play first.
Maybe I should play first.
You know what?
Yeah.
Maybe you should play first.
Yeah. My son was telling me last time we were at the store and at HEB, and he's like, Mom, are we going to play? I'm like, that's between, because his dad always lets him play. And I'm like, I'm not doing that, dude. Like, I don't have time. Like, I got to go. Like, I have to get ready for work. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Over the summer, like I was just saying, you know, all these people communicated with Abraham via text. Tori thought it was weird. He was like, yeah, I thought it was weird because, we would message via text. And then he told her that he had moved on with another woman and that they were going to Jamaica or si iba a ir a vivir a Jamaica con ella or something. And she was like, that shit's weird.
But think about it. If you think about it, let's see the history of Abraham. It seems like something is not right because if you think about it, when he just had one, he still didn't leave.
Right.
Like I know people were bothering him and talking to him and stuff like that, but he still did not leave. He was still around and people were still able to speak to him. Like, it doesn't seem right. Like, something must be wrong.
And then I think even at one point, I don't remember when, I don't know if it was 2008 or 2007. Like, I don't know what they were doing, but he had like a little, I don't want to say a press conference, but he literally had like a tiny press conference. He was telling people, he was like, I want to be left alone. And he was telling the newspapers that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pobrecito,
he was like, I want to be left
dude.
alone. Yeah. He was like, I don't want people coming. Yeah. And
Crazy.
Yeah. Like I said, Tori was like, that shit's weird. And she wasn't the only one thinking that shit was weird. You know, Greg Smith.
I'm thinking that shit was weird. Barbara over here
listening.
Cafecito and Crime thinks it's weird.
Greg Smith did too. And from the very beginning, he was trying to, since he was trying to contact him about the paperwork on the house. And even now that many, many months had passed, he still found it weird that text was now his form of communication. So he texted Abraham. He was like, man, you know what? I'm going to do something real quick. He texted Abraham's phone a question that only he would know the answer to.
Good idea.
And he didn't get a response.
Wow. Oh my God, that made my stomach hurt. Pobrecito Abraham.
Now, it wasn't until November of 2009 that everyone kind of came to the realization that no one had physically seen Abraham since April.
Since April? And this was what?
November.
Wow.
His cousin Cedric, who he was one of the people that he loaned money out to, reported him missing on November 9th. And apparently a couple of other people had done it from the community like before, pero les habían dicho que only a family member could do it. And I wonder if that's true. If only a family member
Maybe
can
in
report
Florida?
you missing. Oh, quién sabe.
Maybe in Florida?
Florida.
You know, Florida be doing some shit right now, so I don't know.
And I know it's kind of like, bro, like, why are you guys barely realizing that?
No. But
that's
it makes
the thing.
sense. It makes sense because they were getting told something else.
Right.
And he was tired of them,
and
you know?
the people that would get money from him were still getting money from him throughout that time.
Yeah. So
they were like, oh, he's tired. He's been saying that he's tired of fucking people.
Mentioned that.
Yeah.
So there has to be, definitely. Completely agree. Yeah.
He got reported as missing and the police started their investigation. They put a list together of people who might have been jealous or because they obviously knew that, here's a lottery winner. Money must be involved somehow, right? Or could be like a big...
Could be, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they put a list together of people who might have benefited from Abraham's disappearance, and they began looking into those people. Their investigation led them to look into Abraham's life before winning the lottery and after winning the lottery. So they talked to Abraham's inner circle, friends, family, people that owe him dinero. A detective was sent to talk to Michael Ford. Because remember, el motherfucker tried to sue him for the lottery ticket.
Can't stand Michael Ford.
And he was now living in Georgia.
Pues sí, porque he looked like a fucking idiot.
You're like, I gotta leave the state.
I gotta go.
And if you gotta leave Florida because you fucked up, you really fucked up.
Yeah, because Florida is not the best. Like, I'm not trying to talk shit about Floridians. Yeah. But what I'm saying is
the state
is not the...
I like Florida.
I've been there.
Florida. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, it's not the... How do you say it?
People say that Texas is the new Florida, so I mean, we're not far behind, to be honest. Just saying.
No, but yeah.
But anyway, so they wanted to talk to Michael. Michael was shortly cleared because he was still driving trucks, and his driving track record showed that he was not in the state of Florida at the time that Abraham went missing.
Okay.
So another person of interest that was looked into was his cousin Cedric, who, I just said that he reported him missing. Well, police investigation revealed that Cedric had a criminal record and obviously owed Abraham money, which we knew. And he also kind of made shit shady with the police.
Why?
Because he kept on changing his story about that he wasn't or he didn't want to report Abraham missing for whatever reason. And according to...
Maybe they were giving him money or something,
And according to Detective Clark, he was just very difficult to deal with.
I don't know Cedric personally, pero it sounds like he just wanted money from his cousin. So maybe si le estaban diciendo te voy a dar dinero porque te lo sigo. I don't know.
You hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head.
Like, because, I'm not trying to say nothing. I don't know him personally. We're not homies.
They do say that Cedric felt like he had some sort of entitlement over Abraham's money.
Why?
Porque su primo.
¿Y qué tiene?
Exactly.
The fuck?
So according to the detective, after speaking with Cedric several times, they were able to determine that, he did report him fucking missing. And he was also ruled out as a suspect.
Stupid ass.
As they kept looking more into Abraham's life and asking people around the neighborhood about him, police kept hearing the name Dee Dee Moore. And that she was a white lady that would hang out with Abraham all the time, all around town, and was his financial advisor.
Dude, that's weird and sad at the same time that they automatically thought of it not being normal that she was a white woman hanging around with a black man. Isn't that sad though? Like, think about it.
But it is, especially, I guess at that time.
Why is that like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's not cool. I don't know. I know you'll tell us eventually what happened and how Dee Dee has anything to do with this, but I'm just saying that like immediately when you see a black man with the white woman in this situation, not in all situations, they automatically thought something's not okay.
Right. Like it's weird.
Like it's weird.
Yeah. That's
kind of sad though.
So Detective Clark says that when he got on the internet, he was trying to, because they get on the internet and look up information about people, he came across a web sleuths website.
¿Qué es eso?
It was true crime before true crime.
Dude, that's so cool. I need to look it up.
It was a discussion board.
Okay.
Which was started by Trisha Griffith because she said that she was just as always obsessed with true crime since she was young. And fun fact, she actually had a run-in. I think she said she was at the mall. She was young. And that a guy asked her for, I don't remember, she said directions or something. And she just like ignored him and later found out that it was fucking Ted Bundy.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
No.
And she said since then, she was like, I became obsessed. And she was like, there has to be other people that are into true crime.
Bundy.
Yeah. She like, has to be other people that are into true crime like me.
Wow.
So she started this website, Web Sleuths, and people, the members of the website would do their own research on cases that they found interesting and they would discuss it among themselves.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it is cool. So Detective Clark came across this Web Sleuths website and he saw that members of that website had dug up plenty of information about Abraham.
Really?
Already.
Wow.
Yeah, so somebody on there had found his disappearance really weird.
Odd.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they started digging. I believe there was a specific member on the forum.
Not
my ankle
not
popping.
the
I don't know if you heard my ankle pop, but my ankle always pops.
Always pop. We work out when we would work out, ankle popping. When we move around, ankle popping.
And Barbie's like, yeah, wait. I'm like, bro, I can't help it. It pops.
No, her ankle and me is my knees.
Yeah, I know it's people like, my knees pop? No, bitch. My knees are fine. My ankle pops. Yeah. So I believe there was a specific member on the forum. Her name was Cindy, but she went by the name Sleuthster.
Yes, girl.
And she managed to dig up, not just her, but mostly her and other members, también Trisha.
Que les llamó la atención,
Yeah.
you know? Okay.
But Sleuthster, I think she was like the main one. She managed to dig up public records,
Damn.
social media, property records, business records.
Dude, we have
And
like the power out here.
And people who Abraham like lent money, like business dealings, if it was online or anything like that, she found it. And
she dug in there, dude.
She truly.
Wow.
And she's found, and a specific property record showed that American Medical Professionals, which was the company that Greg Smith had received a letter from, was Dee Dee's company.
Oh.
And that it was now the owner of the house that belonged to Abraham in that gated community.
What the fuck?
And when they looked her up on social media, which was MySpace at the time, they
MySpace.
They looked up Dee Dee on social media. Ella había puesto fotos that she was living in that house.
Era de ella, pues.
Yeah, era de ella.
Wow.
And also, they found that American Medical Professionals, I'm just going to refer to it as AMP because it's shorter, was now the owner of all of Abraham's assets, which included cash, collectible loans, and property.
And she didn't take this she was just like researching, but she didn't take it to the police.
Right. No, they were just doing their own thing.
Okay, I got it.
You know, el dinero se le había acabado, Barbie. By that point, he only had like $1 million left. In 3 years. Yeah.
Wow. Y su casita.
Yep.
Pobrecito. Y su little BMW 325i. Y el Rolex.
I'm sure he still had the Rolex.
Oh. No, I'm just saying. That makes me sad. Y su pickup truck.
Police find all these records on this website, right? And they go and talk to Dee Dee. And I think they talked to her for like a good 3 to 4 hours. And she was very cooperative, according to the detective. And she showed them
no está pendeja.
She showed them like an asset purchase agreement. where she showed that she paid $655,000 for the house. And I'm not sure if it included other stuff. And that used to be Abraham's. So ella pagó. And she told him that, yeah, that Abraham was good and that she talks to him all the time and that he's gone because he wants to be. And that she doesn't understand why anyone would report him missing.
Wow. Okay.
She also tells him that she was helping Abraham get his financials in order so he could go away for an extended period of time and wouldn't have to worry about anything. She then showed them a video dated April 6th of 2009 where she was recording Abraham and he was saying that he had been feeling tired for about a year. Just like run down, like really fed up with people's shit. And in the video, she asked him where he would want to go. And he was like, I'm not picky. He was like, I'm not picky where I want to go. Y luego Dee Dee le pregunta, are you going to miss your home? And that he was like, yeah, but life goes on.
I mean, he came from nothing.
Yeah. He was like, I just want to, he was like, I don't care where I go. I just want to go.
But this was in April, bro.
This was in April. And she was the
bro.
one recording. And she was the one asking questions. Like, he wasn't like
actually like sitting there
just
talking.
having a conversation or anything like
Como
that.
que lo tenían como amarrado or something.
You can see the video. You can put it up online. Él está parado. I think he has something. I don't know if he has clothes in his hands or something. And she's asking him the questions. So Detective Clark.
Pero this was in April de ese mismo año. But at this point, they're looking him up.
In November.
What was it? In
late
November.
Yeah, late November.
So what happened between that time? According to her, he's out of town, right? Okay.
Detective Clark, he was like so impressed that the web sleuthers had found all this information. And he reached out to them, letting them know that all their hard work was really helping the investigation and that it was not going unnoticed. And he actually signed up to become part of the forum.
That is so cool. That is so cool.
He asked him to keep looking. He was like, dude, I had no idea how they were getting all this information. But he was like, they were getting it fast when we would have to subpoena them and it would take longer.
Yeah, but this was public information.
Right.
And if you're right, that does take longer.
So he was like, yeah, you guys, keep doing it, you know? The web sleuths find way more out about Miss Dee Dee Moore. And of course, as the web sleuths find this out, the police find this out too, right?
Is it okay if I look her up? Because every time all I think is Dexter's Lab.
So hold on to your chones. Because we're going to get into
According to my husband, they're dirty.
We're going to get into Miss Dee Dee Moore. So Doris.
Dude, you know what? No, sorry to interrupt you, but you know what reminds me when you say Dee Dee? It reminds me of the story that Dee Dee con la mom. Que she had that, que la muchacha mata a su mom. ¿Cómo se llamaba? Dee Dee, que mata a su mom porque she kept saying that she was sick and she wasn't sick.
Gypsy Rose?
Gypsy Rose.
Yeah.
But her mom's name was Dee Dee.
Oh, okay.
And she was from Louisiana. That's all I can think of.
So Doris Emma Donega, I think that's how you say the last name, was born on July 25th of 1972 to parents Linda and Patrick Donegan in Riverview, Florida. Cuando ella tenía 7 años, the family moved to Plant City, Florida. And Dee Dee's childhood was a happy one, according to her mom. She did normal things. She was like a Girl Scout and all that stuff. She was into Bible study. She went to church regularly. She was a cheerleader. And when she was in high school, she joined the ROTC. She was described as being like super bubbly and ambitious. But cuando llegó a high school, that's when things kind of changed Dee Dee a bit. In high school is where she noticed like the people who had money and the people who didn't, kind of. Like you could see the division in class status.
Poor Dee Dee. She didn't have any eyebrows. Okay.
At that point, she wanted to have the best clothes. She wanted jewelry. She started
becoming like obsessed with having the best.
Like, cars that other kids in the school didn't. And the other kids in the school had, and she didn't. But her mom was like a nurse's assistant and her dad was like an air-conditioned serviceman. So like they couldn't afford all that stuff, her mom was like, we didn't have a lot of money, but
how about take your ass to school and become somebody on your own, bitch?
And she was embarrassed by the car that they drove, that when her parents would drop her off a block away from where she would meet up with her friends.
What an asshole.
So after she graduated high school, Dee Dee got a certification as a nurse's assistant, like her mom, and went to work. And it was said that she was actually pretty good with her patients. Like she was a good employee. Not long after, when she was 19, and I think only a couple of months shy of being 20, she married James Darrell Moore. And 2.5 years later, they welcomed a baby boy. Now, Dee Dee was always looking to make money wherever she could, like on the side, whatever. And she had a side job besides her assistant nursing one. She would sell prepaid phones and calling plans for a wireless company.
Okay.
In the 1990s, Dee Dee was working through a medical staffing company called Arcadia as a nursing assistant. And it was there that she met Karen DeSalvo, who was the office manager. And she recalls that Dee Dee was a natural for like business and like admin shit. And that got her noticed by like the higher ups in the company, along with her personality. And she said that she would draw you in and just, she was very engaging.
Okay.
That led to Karen and her husband partnering with Dee Dee to open a side business selling cell phones and services to their coworkers, which actually ended up being a success. And so much so that in 2004, they incorporated a business called All About Cellular. And Karen was the president, y Dee Dee era VP. At the same time as that was happening, she had moved up in Arcadia and convinced her bosses there that they should open a new location in Plant City, Florida, where she lived and where she was from, and that she could run it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, she was working her ass off, basically.
She's a go-getter.
Yeah, she was a go-getter, yeah.
Now, it wasn't long after the Plant City location opened that the staff began to notice that the spending for that location was through the roof. And after an internal investigation, it was discovered that Dee Dee had pretty much stolen $60,000 off the payroll.
Damn!
And there was a paper trail to prove it. Like right before Arcadia was going to go after her, like legally about this, the Plant City location burned down out of nowhere, along with all the files.
Ay.
Would you look at that? Look
Se
what you look.
quemaron.
Se quemaron. Oh, wait. Pero they had like expensive equipment that didn't get burned because just days before they had been moved to a different location.
Oh.
Before the fire, and also like, phew.
No, phew, qué bueno. Ay,
you
no.
know?
I was worried about those expensive stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. After the fire, Arcadia and Dee Dee came to an agreement that Dee Dee would just pay them $25,000 back.
How the fuck? Dude, I'm telling you, I don't know. Yo no sé cómo le hace la pinche gente. La pinche gente, cómo le hace. Like, they get away with everything. Yo,
But I can't lie for shit.
bro, I can't lie for shit. Like,
Yeah.
I'll be like trying to get fucking food stamps and shit. They'll be like, no, bitch, we know
can't
you had
even-
this and this. And
I
I'm
can't
like,
even look
okay.
at you in the eye. Like, I'm like,
Fuck, man, how do people do it, dude?
Yeah.
Like, it les vale verga. Like, straight up. Golly. I remember when my daughter was younger, like, we would apply for food stamps or to get at least to get some Medicaid or something. Bro, I would always get denied. Always. And I didn't even have a fucking job.
Yeah.
How the fuck? Like, crazy. Yeah, yes, no, todo tienen, güey.
Yeah.
Todo tienen.
It is actually not known if she paid Arcadia that $25,000 ever anyway, so.
She got away with even with that.
So-
Fuck, man.
In 1999, Dee Dee got probation for shoplifting. And in the next couple of years, Dee Dee and James actually struggled to make ends meet and fell behind on their rent and stuff. And the houses they were leasing, and they actually ended up getting evicted. And later that same year, Dee Dee was arrested for writing a bad check in the amount of $418.
Dude, I get so scared with that shit, bro. I don't know how people do it.
And it was to the county tax collector, bitch.
How? Can you explain that to me? I need someone right now of any of our listeners to tell me how the fuck does that happen?
Well,
Like,
obviously she didn't get away with it, but how do you have the balls to even try?
that's what
you
I
know?
like. OMG.
And after that, she got probation.
Te digo?
That same year, the bank was threatening repo on Dee Dee's $50K Lincoln Navigator. Remember when the Lincoln Navigators first came out?
Dude, those were the shit.
Yeah.
They're still pretty badass now. But I
like,
mean,
like, me acuerdo de the ones from back then.
pero
You know?
yeah, we don't see those anymore because nobody has money for them.
So when a loan officer called her, told her they were going to repo her car, she, of course, gave all these sob stories to kind of buy her more time, but they weren't working. And she said, quote, she would do anything she had to keep that car. So days later, after she had gotten that call from the loan officer, a motorist found Dee Dee on the side of the road, disheveled and a mess with her wrist amarradas. They were bound.
wait.
At the police station, she said that 3 Hispanic men abducted her,
Not the Hispanic.
raped her at gunpoint, and then threw her into the ditch and stole her Lincoln Navigator.
No mames. Tell me that she did not get away with it.
An investigation, of course, began, right? The story was like all over the news. And a few days later, after it hit the news, police received a call from someone in a different county stating that Dee Dee's Lincoln Navigator was in his garage. He said that a different man drove it there. So the person that drove the Lincoln Navigator, they were able to contact him. And he said that Dee Dee told him that she wanted to frame a previous coworker from a sale company who had snitched on her because they got her banned from selling their products based on suspicion of fraud.
Like, my mouth is fucking open right now.
And then, so that's what that driver, told the police. I'm like, yeah, that's what she told me. So somehow a third man got involved.
What the fuck?
And that third man told police that he drove Dee Dee out to the location where she was found.
I can't.
And he said that Dee Dee taped her own wrist.
I can't.
And threw herself out of the car into the exact ditch where she was found.
I can't.
So, after all of this, Dee Dee, of course, she lost the Lincoln Navigator, right? And she only got a year of probation.
No. I'm sorry. And I'm not trying to be funny, but it must have been the color of her skin. Because if it would have been one of ours, you already know what would have happened. So
in 2006, Dee Dee helped incorporate a medical staffing company called American Medical Professionals, AMP, which is her company now, right?
yeah.
Well, in the story, not now, but in the story. And I believe she did this with another couple. It wasn't just her. But that couple gave her $60K for payroll. And not long after, they took her to court and accused her of stealing the $60K.
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me right now?
And Dee Dee said that, no, that was their deal, that she was supposed to keep the money. And the case was dropped because it was their word against hers. And there was no evidence of anything that she did steal the money or that she wasn't supposed to keep it.
I'm in shock right now. I'm in shock.
AMP is open. Now that's her company. So she brought on an old coworker of hers to work with her at AMP, Patricia Paulson. And Patricia had been director at a previous nursing home. She hired Dee Dee a few times when she needed extra help. So now Dee Dee was bringing her in to work for her. Through Patricia, it was that Dee Dee met 23-year-old Shar, who was Patricia's son. And Dee Dee and Shar struck up a friendship, which not long after turned romantic.
23 years old. How old is Dee Dee?
She was 34 at the time.
Wow.
And she was 11 years older. So by that point, she had already separated from James, her first husband. Like they weren't together. She got Shar a job at AMP.
Okay.
And made him an officer of some sort. I don't know what type of officer.
Okay.
I don't know. And asked him to move in with her and her son in January of 2007. Now, before this, Shar wasn't doing anything. He didn't have a job. Like, he wasn't going to school. And, she was trying to impress him. She would buy him expensive clothes.
Turned into his sugar mama,
And they go, on really nice vacations. And, like I said, no quería que él se fuera. Because she was really into him. So she would, spoil him and shit.
He was 23, dude.
Yeah. He was
a baby.
Yeah. He could be doing shit for himself, right? He's not that little.
Yeah.
Pero, get a job.
Get a job.
In 2008, she rented a split-level home. And actually, it kind of worked out to where she could put her home offices for her job in that house. And then they even brought in Patricia que viviera con ellos. So
Not
it was
Patricia.
The business. It wasn't me, it was Patricia.
It was Patricia.
So the business offices were there. Patricia was living there. She was living there with Char, which was Patricia's
Everybody
son.
was in the fucking house.
Yeah.
Para acabar pronto.
Eran cuatro.
Uh-huh.
So ahí andaban en la casa. In 2009, Dee Dee Moore, I guess to whoever would see her from the outside in, was a successful businesswoman, it seemed. She bought a new house, not the split level one, but she actually bought a new house.
Another house.
And told Char that she got the money for it by working for the IRS and turning in deadbeat taxpayers.
What?
That she had done this a couple of times and had gotten paid 6 figures. How do you do this? I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah, same. Because I need 6-figure payments.
In the spring of that same year, Dee Dee was now living in a new house in a gated community north of Lakeland.
Wow.
With her younger hot boyfriend, I guess, who she had gifted really expensive things like a Rolex.
Not the Rolex.
And a new Corvette. So all this, la policía and the web sleuthers
I'm saying, wait a minute. So all of this was found out by the web sleuthers?
Yeah.
Wow. No, pues es que we do hard work,
So they found all this out, right?
Yeah.
The police were like, she's sus.
Sus.
She's sus, right?
Super sus.
So they subpoenaed Dee Dee's phone records and Abraham's, which showed that after April 6th, both phones were pinging off the same tower.
Okay.
So either Dee Dee was sending texts from Abraham's phone, or they were both riding in the same car whenever he texted people.
At all times.
At all times.
Okay.
And I don't think it's the latter, right, bitch? No. Dee Dee's house, her new house, or Abraham's house,
God.
was searched through, they got a warrant and they searched it, but they didn't find no phones. They didn't find Abraham's phone. They didn't find anything. Dee Dee was like, oh my God, these people were like, why am I a suspect? She started crying and she was reaching out to like newspapers and she talked to
oh my God,
a newspaper called The Ledger.
No tiene vergüenza.
Which is a newspaper in Lakeland, and cried to them about how unfair she was being treated. And she cried because her house was ransacked and that there was white powder everywhere. And it's so unfair that she had to go through that. And that she was no longer in contact with Abraham because of everything that was happening. Like she couldn't reach him. He was like, no, this is too much. The police are involved. I'm not gonna talk to you anymore.
Wow. Okay.
And she went on the Web Sleuths page.
No, she didn't.
And was telling them the people on there to essentially get a life. That they were making her look bad. That why were they doing that?
No, but they were just stating your facts, motherfucker.
And then she proceeded to tell everyone on the forum the facts according to her. She was explaining that, she bought Abraham's assets way before he even went missing and that he had his own witnesses there, that everything was legit. But the members of the forum were just like on her, not like relenting, no le creían. And I think she was trying to like over explain everything. You know what I mean? Where like you give too many details. You're like,
it's unnecessary.
It's unnecessary. Mm-hmm. And she was trying to win them over, but they were just not buying it. They're like, where's Abraham? Where is he? Can we get in contact with him? Why?
We don't give a shit what you're saying. Like, where is Abraham?
Right.
Yeah.
And honestly, the way she was answering, just trying to over explain everything, just made her come off as like a know-it-all and like a bitch.
Yeah.
Which she was, but
She was a bitch.
She was a bitch.
Yeah.
The biggest bitch in the whole wide world.
Yeah.
You remember that song?
Yeah.
From South Park?
Yes.
So on December 27th of 2009, Dee Dee took Abraham's mom porque, se llevaba con la familia de Abraham,
Because she had to. She had to. Like, if she was going to infiltrate him as well as she did.
Infiltrate?
What? I'm trying to use bigger words. Okay, leave me alone. If she was trying to infiltrate herself in his life as much as she did, then she had to, like, get close to his family.
Right.
Yeah.
So, se llevó la mom de Abraham, Elizabeth, to eat at Cracker Barrel. I've never been there.
I went there once and I didn't like it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Elizabeth, when they were out eating at Cracker Barrel.
I rather Waffle House.
Or IHOP. I don't know what it is.
No, not IHOP.
Is it like a breakfast
It's breakfast,
place?
yeah.
Okay.
Not IHOP.
I know they have like merch and stuff and it's una tienda, right?
It's a big thing. Yeah, it is. Uh-huh.
So Elizabeth, cuando estaban ahí en Cracker Barrel, she got a phone call. And it was Abraham. Y he told her that he was going to be home soon y que that he loved her. And then the caller hung up. Y Elizabeth went to the police and she told the police que le había hablado, but it didn't sound like Abraham. Y que Abraham le dicho, oh, I don't sound like me because I'm sick.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Now, with that information, the police subpoenaed Elizabeth's phone records.
Sí, para saber de dónde le hablaron, obviously.
Right. And the call was traced back to the cell phone of Greg Smith.
Oh, my God.
Who's Greg Smith?
The guy that from the loan from the barbershop, yeah.
The next day...
¿A qué crees que no sabía? I'm not paying attention or what?
I don't see you take down notes. No, I'm just kidding. So the next day after Elizabeth got that call, police started tracking Greg, right? They started following him around. Mm-hmm. And they followed him to a Dillard's parking lot.
Not Dillard's.
The Dillard's. He actually took police by surprise because he met up with Dee Dee Moore at the parking lot.
Uh-huh.
So after he left the parking lot, they, todavía lo estaban siguiendo and they stopped him at a red light. And they're like, we're the police. You need to come with us.
The police.
We're the police. They took him for questioning. So they straight up asked him if he was the one who had called Elizabeth pretending to be Abraham. He said yes. And they also asked him if he had made another call days prior to someone named Dave Wallace. And he said, yes, sir, that was me. One of the investigators said, I'm Dave Wallace. Yeah. So Greg told the investigators that Dee Dee paid him to make a couple of calls a couple of days ago. The first to Detective Dave Wallace as an anonymous caller telling them that they had seen Abraham in Miami.
Wow. This bitch took it far, bro.
At a strip club.
She took it far.
And then, then he's like, yeah, and then she told me to just call Abraham's mom.
But why would you agree to that shit, bro?
And he told him, he was like, dude, he's like, I don't want any trouble. He was like, I didn't see the harm in making just a couple of phone calls. You know, I wasn't really talking to anybody.
But you know very well what was going on. And no, you know what? He needs to go to jail too.
And then he was like, and she was paying me hundreds of dollars. She was like, she was paying me like over $300 just to make 2 calls.
No, bitch. I don't give a fuck if it would have been $1 million. You do not do that.
Police told Greg that they suspected Dee Dee had something to do with Abraham's disappearance. And Greg, you know, he was like, you know what? He's like, I believe you. He's like, I think the same. So they convinced Greg to help them out. They asked him to wear a wire. And when Dee Dee would ask him to meet up again, because she was, to act normal. So by now it's early January. Yeah, when they, you know.
So ya pasó casi un año, right?
No, they started investigating his appearance in November.
Okay, so pasó, well, yeah, pero since they had
physically seen him,
yeah,
right.
In the video, remember? In the video.
Like I said, it was just early January. Y esta Dee Dee told Greg, hey, I need you to meet up with me, blah, blah, blah. So they met up at a parking lot of Denny's. So by this point, you know, he was wired up.
Yeah.
And Dee Dee got into Greg's car because Greg had called her over. And he told her that they shouldn't tuck in her car because just in case she was being like followed or tracked or whatever. So Greg was telling Dee Dee that it was going to be okay and that he believed that she had nothing to do with, you know, Abraham's disappearance and that it was all going to work out once Abraham came back and that he was going to help her. Like Dee Dee out of nowhere, I don't know why, but she like lunged at Greg and started filling him up like on his like arms and chest and stuff. And Greg was like, yo, you know, what the fuck are you doing? And he was like, you don't know me like that to be touching me. And he turned it around on her. She was like, are you trying to fucking set me up? Or, you know, and he was like, I need you to get the fuck out of my car. And she was like, no, I'm sorry. I don't know who to trust. Y empezó a llorar and everything. And he was like, no, it's okay. Just don't be doing that shit. He was like, I'm a black man in a car with a white woman. I'm like, I don't want you to, you know, you're trying to set me up. I don't want it to look like I'm doing something to you or we're doing something. He was like, I'm not trying to go to jail.
He was probably like, I'm not trying to, like, sucking into the damn mic and shit. Yeah. I'm not trying to go to jail.
And Dee Dee, again, you know, apologized profusely. She was like, no, thank you, you know, for being my friend. Yeah. And then, you know, she got out of his car and they said that they were going to keep in touch. So the next time they met up, it was at Target parking lot.
Oh, not the Target.
And Dee Dee told Greg that she needed new prepaid phones. One for her and one for Judy. Porque Judy thought that her phone was being tapped.
Okay.
Yeah. And she needed a new phone because on the old prepaid phone, she was like, I've already been calling you on this one too much. I need a new prepaid phone to call you on. So she asked him to go into a Radio Shack. Remember those? And
I know, dude. What happened to those?
And he bought them for her, like compró los prepaid phones. They also discussed what Greg, they're like, we need to get our story straight. They're like, the police are asking me questions. He's like, Greg, in case they ask you, this is what we're going to say. And Greg is like, yeah, that's fine. You know, I'm only going to say that I only talk to you because of the loans, you know, the payments. And that's our story. I don't talk to you about anything else. They agreed that their next meeting was going to be later that day because a Dee Dee se le ocurrió que she needed to write a letter to Abraham's mom, Miss Elizabeth Walker. And she needed a place to write it at, to, you know, to think all this through. So he was like, I need you to go get a hotel room or a motel room. And then we're going to meet there later, like around 5 or 6 p.m. So Greg rented the motel room and esta le fue a dejar el teléfono nuevo a Judy. Now, remember, all of this is being recorded by the police.
Yes, I was about to say, they're still recording.
Yeah, they're still recording all of this. When they get to the motel or whatever, she types this long-ass letter from Abraham to his mom about how he is not missing and is just tired todavía. In the letter, she writes, you know, pretending to be Abraham telling his mom, he's like, Dee Dee's mad at me because I won't come back. And all this other fucking random ass stuff about child support, you know, from Tori and Antoinette. And this letter went on for pages.
What?
Over explaining so much shit.
Yeah,
for
like
what?
Unnecessarily,
yeah. And she made sure to note or to put, a friend is typing this for me, not me. I'm just telling somebody to type it for me.
Sounds like somebody else from my other episode. Don't look into the guy I was with last night. Oh my God.
He did not kill me.
He did not kill me.
Now, they printed the letter because Greg said that cuando llegó él al hotel room, que Dee Dee was wearing like a fucking hazmat suit. He's like, she had a printer, busted out a new computer. They're like, we can't leave prints. Nothing. cleaning everything, and she bought a printer, so they printed the letter right there, put it in an envelope, went and drove to Miss Elizabeth's home, parked a block away, told Greg to get off, and walked the letter to the mailbox, and then walked back to the car a block away, and then they left.
Okay.
So they did that. The police, when they left, La Policía went after them, and they got the letter from the mailbox.
Yeah.
So
to have for evidence
Yeah.
and shit. Okay.
now the police then had a press conference and named Dee Dee Moore as a person of interest in the disappearance of Abraham Shakespeare. They believe, and it was the first time that they straight up said, he might not be missing, he might be dead.
Oh, shit.
And they asked the public, there was a reward, and they asked the public, to come forward if
For any information.
Right.
I mean, and they also probably did it so that they can throw her off.
Yeah.
Like, we got you, but not really.
Right.
We're looking into it, but not really,
Right.
So kind of, yeah.
Now, Dee Dee, when she saw this, you're right. She was like, why are they doing this? Abraham's mom should have received the letter that he was fine.
That I didn't write, but he wrote, but I didn't write. Oh, my God.
He was like, why are they naming me?
Sometimes, like, honestly, like, sometimes straight up.
You believe your own shit? Like your own lies?
No, sometimes I'm like, we do this so much, and you still think, are they that fucking stupid?
Yes.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they fucking are.
She was just like kind of spitballing, just talking shit. She was like, it doesn't matter what I tell them. She was like, whatever I say, they don't believe me. They just wanted somebody to take the fall for Abraham not being around. And that person was her. And that she said that they just zeroed it on her and not on anybody else. They didn't look for any other suspects, even though she had been telling police that Abraham had been involved in drug dealings that had gone wrong. Wow. And that because of those drug dealings that Abraham had, she was being threatened along with her son, that they were going to get killed by somebody named Ronald.
Not Ronald.
But no, according to Dee Dee, even though I told them all that stuff, they disregarded that and they're still looking at me as suspect.
Because they should be looking at what I'm saying.
At Ronald.
Yeah, at Ronald. McDonald's.
Now, Greg, and of course, all this, police hear this. Greg and the police came up with the idea that Greg will tell Dee Dee that if something bad had happened on Abraham and they were trying to pin it on her, that they should find somebody that would take the fall for her.
Yeah, to kind of
right,
like put her more into that it was her.
And Greg told Dee Dee that he had a cousin who was already going to prison for 25 years, and that he could possibly be down for that type of deal, but she was going to have to pay up. Greg had been helping her, so Dee Dee had full trust in Greg by this point, and she was like, okay, can you ask your cousin and then get back to me, right? And this cousin was going to be played by an undercover police officer, Mike Smith.
Okay.
He was an 11-year veteran and well known for his phenomenal undercover work.
That's what I'm talking about. So
Greg told Dee Dee that his cousin said yes. And there was they were going to set up a meeting so Dee Dee could meet Mike. So they meet, y Mike le dice, and all this is on audio, right? Because all this is being recorded. You can pull it up on audio.
Yeah.
So Mike tells Dee Dee that he wants $50K as payment. And she tells him, can I do it in payments? I don't have that type of cash right now. I'm going to need to sell some stuff. He's like, fine, but I need $10K up front. He tells her, look, lady, I'm already going to go to prison anyway. And to really sell this, he's like, I need to know where the body is. Because if there's a body, I can cut a deal and I can have my sentences run concurrently. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Dee Dee's like, okay, I need to find out where Ronald pulled the body.
No.
He's like, I'll get back to you.
Not Ronald. Not Ronald.
So the next day, Dee Dee calls Greg and tells him that Ronald told her where Abraham's body is. That they needed to meet up and go over the details of what was going to happen next. And when they do meet, Dee Dee brings Greg a gun and tells him that he needs to give it to Mike so his prints can be on it.
Oh, shit.
And that he and Mike also need to dig up the body, burn it, put it in a bag, and go bury it somewhere else. That's like a remote area. So later that night, Dee Dee actually takes Greg to where Abraham's body is buried.
Wow.
And she drives him to the property that used to be Abraham's.
Allí mismo lo tenía.
And detectives are all over this, of course, all over it. They follow them. And she walks to a grassy area on the property and takes like a piece of iron, like un gancho, I guess you could say, sticks it in the ground and says to Greg, that Abraham's bodies should be around there 9 feet deep.
Wow.
To tell Mike, his cousin, to dig there, and that's where they're going to find him. of course, like I just said, the police heard all of this, right? The very next day, on January 28th, 2010, with a search warrant, like the police and forensics just descend on the property, and they used ground penetrating radar to, and begin looking for
The
bones.
body. Mm-hmm.
So they began digging. They didn't find anything that day. So they went back the next day. And it was like around 2 p.m. on January 29th, 2010, that they found Abraham's remains under a slab of concrete on the property.
That is so crazy.
So that was January 29th.
Pero dude, si te pones a pensar, they weren't going to look there.
In the actual property?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. He's disappeared, right?
Yeah.
So a day before, on January 28th, James Moore, Dee Dee's ex-husband, was interviewed by detectives.
Okay.
And he told them that at the very beginning of April, she called him and asked him if he could dig a hole where she was trying to bury trash in. And he said he dug the hole, left, came back a couple of hours later when Dee Dee called him to come back and fill that hole. And she paid him, and it wasn't out of the ordinary because he would do yard work for her. So he would help her out.
He was just doing, yeah.
When they found Abraham's remains, the clothes that his remains that were found matched the clothes that he was wearing in that video.
Ay, no me digas eso, por
that
favor.
Dee Dee had recorded to Abraham that she showed the investigators. His autopsy revealed that he had been shot twice in the chest with a .38 caliber pistol, which is what she gave Greg to give to his cousin Mike.
Wow.
One bullet entered the right upper chest and turned downward, and the other pierced the lower part of his chest and traveled upward, which I think they said it fractured a rib and hit his right lung.
And that's the one that killed him.
And his cause of death was a gunshot wound.
Wow.
Now, on February 2nd, Dee Dee was taken into custody and charged with first-degree murder of Abraham Lee Shakespeare. And she was still maintaining that it was Ronald. It was Ronald.
Where is Ron? Bring Ronald over here.
And they called her out on her bullshit and telling her that he, like, bitch, not, of course, they didn't call her bitch, but like, lady, we know Ronald is a made-up person. The police were able to trace Abraham and Dee Dee's phone at that house, at the one that used to be Abraham's. And then they left the house and drove to her other house, the split level home. They said that they know that they both entered the house and went to a room that had a safe that contained a .38 caliber revolver, I believe, and that she shot Abraham in that room. And when they cut open the carpet, there was like blood stains. That matched Abraham's blood. So that's where she did it.
Wow.
So of course she went to trial, and after the trial, the jury deliberated for more than 3 hours and found Dee Dee Moore guilty of first-degree murder on December 10 of 2012. And she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And the judge called her cold, calculated, and cruel, and the most manipulative person that court had ever seen.
Fuck yeah.
And she appealed in 2015 and in 2019, but the courts upheld her conviction both times. And I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but the reason why she wanted to meet Abraham, or the reason why she went after Abraham, and the excuses she used was that she was a writer and that she wanted to write a book about him. And that's how she got Barbara, the broker, to set up that meeting between them.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's the case of Abraham Lee Shakespeare.
Pobrecito, dude. What a fucking rat.
Like, crazy bitch.
Rat.
But Barbie, like, I don't even think... this lady was not crazy, but such a... Like, she was crying to reporters. She was like, I would never kill anybody, especially not that man. Like, lloraba. And I'm like... do you believe their own shit that's coming?
Yeah,
like, you have to believe it.
Eventually, they do start believing their own shit. I mean, that's kind of like a psychopath, right? Right?
Yeah.
She's a psychopath. Eventually, she does believe what she's saying is true. Like, it has to be. There's no way that you can sit there with tears in your eyes. Like, there's no way.
Saying that she would never harm anybody, especially not this man.
Like, what are you talking
and
about?
And she harmed that man.
Yes.
She killed him.
She killed
him.
And
he never did anything to anybody. He did it for everybody, his community. And
I feel so bad because of the fact that all he did was he just wanted time away. That's all he wanted. And he wanted some help, somebody to help him with his financial situation that at this point, like you said, he was already he had almost nothing left. And the people just kept bothering him and bothering him and bothering him.
Yeah.
And he just wanted time away. You imagine, like, she killed him for no reason, Estela, just because she wanted a piece of ass? Para estarle comprando cosas al pinche estúpido huerco? Like, what the fuck? Like, I just can't believe this. It's so stupid. Oh my gosh, this is so stupid.
But it's sad that se le acabó el dinero in 3 years. He only from 12 to $1 million.
Still, I mean,
That's
even
crazy.
at $1 million, like, you could still come back from that. But she did not let him do that. She unfortunately met the wrong person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's so sad.
So sad because there was no reason for that. No reason.
I think he was only like 43 when she killed him. And if you pull him up, he just looks so like
so sincere.
Yeah, se mira bien sencillo. He's just humble person, just wearing like. He looks like a kind man. Like he's just minding his fucking business, you know, like
helping his community. Yes, they were overdoing it with him, but
se pasaron de verga.
Sí, se pasaron, but that doesn't mean that you have to kill him.
Pero no decía que no, tampoco. You know, he would still help them out.
Yeah, so sad. Well, thank you so much for that story, sister. We appreciate you.
You're welcome.
And if you would like to follow us on Instagram, our Instagram is going to be.
You can follow us at Cafecito and Crime Pod, or you can send us an email to
cafecitoandcrimepod@gmail.com.
And you can find us anywhere that you listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
If you would download our episodes, that would really help.
Yes,
if you would share
don't
our
mind.
podcast if you like it,
Yes,
that would
please
really
share.
help.
Share to everyone that you know.
Share everywhere.
Share everywhere. But anyway, so also thank you so much for everyone that has been supporting us. I appreciate everybody that I talk to or that tells me, oh yeah, you know, I know about that, or oh, why don't you do this case? Or we appreciate all of the support and we thank you so much. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, month, day.
Goodbye.
Bye.